I've always been asked this question about sample selection for interviews, and I thought I should do a short interview to share how I do things. I often use purposive sampling because I know what kind of participants I want for my study. In other words, I am definite about my selection criteria. So just as an example here, teachers with more than 5 years experience, teachers with the teaching qualification, meaning I do not want those who are there to teach, but they may be engineers, they may be nutritionists, but they just happen to be teaching in the school. And another selection criteria could be teachers teaching English, meaning I'm not interested in science teachers, history teachers, and so on, because I have a particular interest in how experienced teachers handle English classes. Now, I have seen this thing nowadays. People put this as part of the selection criteria. Participants' willingness to participate in the study. That's not correct. That's not the idea. Selection criteria means what qualifies the person to be included as a participant of the study, the things we are looking for in their characteristics, because those are related to the objectives of our study, or they are related to the characteristics that other researchers have found to be relevant to the phenomenon we investigate. So, selection criteria, clear. All right. Then, for me, I would also ensure that there is a spread of other important characteristics, such as gender, age, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status. And if I'm not studying teachers, maybe occupational groups are important too, because all these influence our worldviews, influence our realities and our experiences, which can be important and can explain why they have certain views. All right. So now you think of it this way. If you don't want that spread of characteristics because you think it's not relevant, it's not part of my selection criteria, I'm okay with everybody. All right. Imagine you end up interviewing 30 participants and they are all in the 20s because they are close to your age group and they are all female because somehow you're more comfortable speaking to females or they are more willing to participate in your study. Now, can you draw conclusions about those who are older? And can you draw conclusions about males? Definitely not. All right, let's make it not so extreme. Out of 30 participants, you have 25 female and 25 are in the 20s. Can you then say your results apply to all age groups and all gender groups? Definitely not, because a majority of your study participants are still from certain age groups and still from certain gender groups. That's why for myself, to be on the safe side, even though I don't claim to use stratified sampling, I will still ensure roughly a spread of characteristics. Of course, stratified sampling means if I'm interested in representation of certain ethnic groups, I might ensure that I have equal numbers or I have numbers that represent the population in the country. And that would be really stratified sampling because you are looking for a certain number to fit what you have preset. But purposive sampling is different. We are following selection criteria. But in spite of that, I will still ensure there is a spread of characteristics so that at least my conclusions are applicable to a majority of the people out there that I'm trying to study. So I hope with this very simple video, it will guide you towards a better sample selection and a sample selection that will raise less queries when your paper or your thesis is reviewed. All the best.